I'm starting. This is the start. The video starts now. The channel starts now. I'm starting at the end. A very good place to start. David Gordon Green and Danny McBride's revival of the evergreen Halloween franchise for Blumhouse Productions has come to a close. The wrap up to their trilogy, Halloween Ends, tore through the horror community harder than the fire on Laurie Strode's compound. This one film instigated internet discourse and division on a level never before seen from a horror film. And I can see where people who hate this film are coming from, but to be honest, I don't get it. Why are you all so pressed? How did so many people feel so personally attacked by a movie that 15,000 of them signed a change.org petition demanding that the entire cast, crew, and production staff go back to the drawing board and give them a better conclusion, more in line with what the fans want?
Halloween Ends was not a film that the fans wanted. This was an origin story, the Corey story. We deserve a movie worthy of Michael Myers and the Halloween franchise. We love this franchise wholeheartedly, and this version of a Halloween movie left us sad, mad, disappointed, and infuriated. Please give us a movie that shows us what Halloween is really about. Our apex predator, the king of slasher movies, Michael Myers. This movie gave us a weak, pathetic Michael who needed his mask to survive. This isn't our Michael Myers. Our killer is strong, relentless, and unstoppable. Please right this wrong. We beg of you.
But wait, I'm a Halloween fan and I loved this movie. I mean, it's not perfect and it's not my favorite of the franchise, but I can safely say it ranks high on my list. I mean, this is a love it or hate it thing. There's not many people in the middle on this one. And with all of this division, I had to wonder, what do we want from a Halloween film? It's no secret that Halloween is, in a sense, a choose your own adventure series. I mean, it has rebooted itself arguably 5 times over the course of 13 films that vary in tone and execution, films that follow different characters across different timelines, characters portrayed by different actors, told with different interpretations. Halloween has changed shape with each installment. I mean, it remains, if nothing else, consistently inconsistent. So here we are at the end of another storyline, one that I think really nailed Halloween in all the ways that it's changed and all the ways that it stays the same. David Gordon Green and Danny McBride have given us 3 very distinct movies, and each one scratches a specific itch for what we love about this series. I mean, I think it's safe to say that we got everything that we wanted. We were served a Reverend Laurie versus Michael story told with absolute sincerity, a cynical, Michael-centric, campy splatterfest thrill ride, and a love letter to Carpenter and his creation with a daringly original and compelling tragedy at the center. 2018's revival of Halloween, ditched every bit of world building past the 1978 original, returning Jamie Lee Curtis and her performance of Laurie Strode to the franchise, and it was celebrated as a back-to-basics cat and mouse thriller with a bit of subversion on who played cat and who was the mouse, and I think it's fine. I think it's good. It's good. I remember after my first watch feeling a bit underwhelmed, but it does a fine job of doing what it sets out to do. So for those of you who come to Halloween for the lean, economical man stalks and slashes and the final girl fights back narrative, something more akin to the 1978 original or Part 4 or H2O, it really delivers. But of course, no one should have expected that this would just be a one and done. Hollywood has never worked that way. Ever. Blumhouse, Miramax, and Universal wanted to revive the moneymaker. David Gordon Green stated that he had at least enough ideas for a duology, so once 2018's revival made over $250 million on a $15 million budget, it was off to the races. Except Jason Blum asked Green to complete a trilogy, so instead of a follow-up, we got 2 sequels. that were incredibly polarizing. First up, Halloween Kills. And wow. Wow. This is a sloppy bitch. This is a messy queen of a movie. I'll never forget watching this for the first time when it dropped on Peacock. That incredible cold open flashback, the firefighter set piece, they really had me in the first half, I ain't gonna lie. And then the more it went on, the more bewildered I became. I mean, it felt like the film would start to settle into a certain path, only to pull a brake check, switch gears, yank the steering wheel, and veer off into some completely different lane. Every time I started to like it, it would do something absurd and off putting. By the final scene, I was almost certain I hated it. Almost. I was compelled to watch it again the next night, and I mean, it didn't get better, but I found it way more entertaining the second time around. I even did a third go round this year, and I'm sorry to say, I really love this movie. It's a funhouse mirror version of that follow up film where the main character is relegated to a hospital bed. No, not that one. No, I mean Halloween 2. No, not Halloween 2. Halloween 2. Thank you. Except this time, instead of linking Michael and Laurie as siblings, the movie goes out of its way to make Laurie rather insignificant to Michael's motiveless trajectory. I respect how subversively anti fan service it all is, playing on the legacy requel trope of trotting out people from previous films for reverence points, only for them to just amount to nothing before being unceremoniously dispatched. This movie is stupid fun, and I'm here for it. It's just so weird and campy unintentionally. I don't know. Is it satire? I have no fucking clue. But each time I've watched it, I've had more fun with it because I've accepted it for what it is, not what I expected it was going to be. Two side notes, I think this is the scariest version of The Shape, and the shot of him pin cushioning Lenny Clark is the most terrifying tableau of the series. And come on, you guys, Big John and Little John are two of the best Haddonfield residents we've ever been introduced to. Yes, they are kind of problematic, but oh my god, they are a joy to watch. They are Halloween night's goals. What better way to spend All Hallows Eve than chilling at home with your partner, eating snacks, watching spooky shit, getting high, dancing to your Halloween playlist, and antagonizing trick-or-treaters? Someday this will be me. For those of you who come to Halloween mistaking it for its derivative offspring, those who just want to see a guy in a mask hack and slash through lightly sketched characters, something more akin to Halloween 2, or Halloween 2, or Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Hell, even Resurrection. This is it. This is the movie y'all say you want, but I'm willing to bet a lot of the people who despised Kills are also the ones complaining this year the ends didn't have enough Michael hack and slashing. Again, what do Halloween fans actually want? Because a lot of them are vehemently stating they did not want Halloween ends. And I mean, how were y'all so blindsided by this? Before the movie debuted, Jamie Lee Curtis and David Gordon Green made multiple statements that this was going to be a wild card. Ends was set up to be an expectedly unexpected conclusion. How were y'all not prepared? I mean, after the absolutely bonkers left turn that was Halloween Kills, I knew it was best to just let go of all expectations and desires and just go into this ready and willing to let it take me wherever it intended to go. I even avoided every bit of press after that first teaser to avoid making assumptions. But unlike Kills, I knew right away this time they'd made a good film. I mean, maybe you didn't expect this story, but I can't understand how folks don't see this as a well told story. I mean, of course, this is just my opinion. And like I've said, I don't think it's a perfect film. I mean, I guess I agree with the general consensus that the central love story feels rushed, but on the one hand, Allison and Corey are clearly trauma bonding, and secondly, love at first sight is a well trodden trope of narrative film. It's a necessary evil. It's kind of something you need to do if you're telling a story about people meeting and falling for one another. Could they have introduced Corey in an earlier film and laid the groundwork then? Sure, but that's just not what happened, and I don't see anything constructive in harping on things that could have happened. All told, I think it's undeniable that Corey, his trajectory, and Rowan Campbell's performance are all incredibly compelling. I mean, even compressed into this one film, I think it's executed well. God, what a tragic fucking character. I mean, you really got to feel bad for this poor bastard. Immediately, I wondered if Corey was supposed to be an allegory for indoctrination. I mean, Corey's shown listening to this DJ, Willie the Kid, who's positioned like he's some kind of Michael Truther, spreading misinformation over the airwaves. And the poetic justice of Willie having his tongue cut out wasn't lost on me. And then, like, the shape radicalizes Corey and uses him to further his violent agenda. Does this mean Michael is red pilling Corey? Is Michael Q? Michael disappeared for years after 2018. Do we know where he was on January 6th? If this is what Green and McBride were actually going for, it brings up an uncomfortable factor of modern society. I mean, how can people around us, our neighbors, even members of our own family, go from being seemingly agreeable folks to developing socio-political grievances and then turning to bad actors who play on those grievances in order to spread misinformation and further an agenda that only empowers them and the already empowered, and ultimately these once innocuous people end up becoming harmful to the society around them? I was not prepared to contemplate shit like this in the 13th goddamn Halloween movie. On a lighter note, I like where Laurie ends up in this movie. It's an interesting choice to have her spend 40 years living as a doomsday prepper while her boogeyman is behind bars, only to finally learn to live without fear in an uncertain world after Michael escapes, kills again, and then disappears into the night. But maybe that's the point. The shape, or rather, death, danger, or harm, whatever. It's a constant possibility. It's somewhere. It's anywhere. It's just around the corner. And Laurie makes the healthy choice of accepting that and saying yes to life rather than obsessing and stewing in her fear at the cost of her relationships with others. There's a kind of acceptance and understanding and, god damn it, even mercy that she gives to her boogeyman in the end. She doesn't have an extended wrestle with her demon because that's just not how the story will allow her to win. She tried that. It failed. In this trilogy, we see people meeting the shape with fear, defiance, vengeance, and they all fail. The vast majority of those who stand their ground or fight back lose. If you show the shape you're afraid of it, either by cowering in place or trying to fight back, then you're admitting that it has power over you, and the shape feeds off of that power. So Laurie just quickly puts it down, removes its power over her, dissolves it, and walks away. And I think that's a concept that's much more emotionally complex and in vogue with the current trend in horror. Come to think of it, I mean, this is the perfect cinematic climate to revive this story. Much more so than the post-Scream late 90s or the mid-2000s gritty, glossy remake movement. If you were expecting the epic showdown where Laurie meets Michael with obsessive and righteous vengeance in a drawn-out 30-minute fight scene, guess what? That already happened. Why would they go through the same motions as 2018? They already made that movie. They already gave you the epic showdown. Now they get to make something else. Okay, on to the part of the backlash that I take huge issue with, and I know this is probably going to piss people off the most. That is all of the frothing obsession with Michael Myers. The way people are going on and on about Michael's role in this film and how he and his fans deserved better honestly creeps me right the fuck out. Never mind that his screen time in this movie is about on par with his screen time in the hallowed original. I mean, despite being the one character who appears in every film, you can count that cameo on the bar TV in Season of the Witch. He's not really the star of this franchise, he's the mascot. Consider how every other horror series has eventually at some point just abandoned the original title and named their films after the central villain. You start off with Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and you end up with Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy's Dead, Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason. Child's Play becomes Bride and Seed and Curse and Cult of Chucky. Saw's 8th installment was titled Jigsaw. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre has 2 films titled Leatherface. All of these franchises have a villain with at least some semblance of a personality. Like on a spectrum from Freddy and Chucky, who play more like stand-up comedians, to characters like Leatherface and Jason, who they're mute and masked, but they're given emotional motive, and the actors playing them imbue them with an expressive physicality. The Shape is void of personality. It is a blank slate. The mechanical gait, the ghastly, expressionless face, and the blackest eyes. I said the blackest eyes. Thank you. Honestly, what is there to connect to? The way people are talking, it makes it sound like they're fans of Michael Myers exclusively rather than the franchise as a whole. You know you're not supposed to love Michael Myers, right? Like for real. I mean, he's mysterious and sometimes he's kind of cool, but like, are you for real rooting for him? We're never given a strong reason to feel anything for Michael beyond curiosity and bewilderment. I mean, that is until we get to Zombies Duology, the only time we spend with Michael before he's consumed by the Shape. And even as an adult, Tyler Mane plays him with an expressive physical performance, grunting, grimacing, stomping around. So outside of those 2 movies, which were poorly received at the time, there is no Michael Myers. There's no personality to connect with. There's just this empty android-esque figure known as the Shape. And Carpenter never wanted the Shape to be the star of Halloween. And it's not for nothing that this is the first time he's actively returned to the series and publicly approved of a sequel. It's really a shame Season of the Witch bombed and we never got to see an anthology series that could expand beyond some guy with a knife murders people. So in this way, Ends is very faithful to its franchise. I mean, fuck, this entire trilogy follows the formula of these movies to a T. Oh, hold on, look. You start off with Michael breaking out of prison and dueling with a final girl. Then there's the follow-up movie where that final girl is taken to a hospital and Michael takes to mowing down randos. Then there's the third film that follows a different character on a detour plot into some random story, usually about lore, legends, and the occult. So, yeah, Halloween Ends is an appropriate third entry. It's just living in a broader Halloween vibe. And it's a tribute to the series as a whole and to John Carpenter, which is sweet. There's so many fun little Easter eggs and borrowed themes from Carpenter's films. In 1978, Laurie and Tommy watched The Thing from Another World. 41 years later, Corey and Jeremy watched John Carpenter's The Thing. Corey's storyline is a direct homage to Christine. People have noticed that this movie feels like it's referencing a lot of disparate horror films. Ooh, I also noticed this year that Michael's first scene in Kills is a direct recreation of the monster's first scene in Bride of Frankenstein. So that's just a fun little nugget for y'all. I promise I will never say the word fun nugget again. Okay, let me just, where are my notes where we could, more Carpenter. A community's inherited collective trauma, that's the fog, baby. Paranoia and social distrust, that's the thing, and they live, son. A town under the thumb of evil, fighting back only to fail, exploring the concept of being born bad. These are all in his Village of the Damned remake, and they're done better here than in that crapshoot of a film. Seriously, how did Carpenter, K&B, and IL frickin' M combine forces only to push out that wet fart?
The soundtrack freaking slaps. Seriously, shout out to the music department for curating this. This shot is awesome. The score underneath it is awesome, especially right here where it goes crazy. This shot, ooh, spooky. This shot is weird. I don't know if I like it. It stands out. I don't know in a bad way. Is it good? It's a weird tilt, zoom, dissolve. It's a choice. This this fucking line. Wait, is that a pot leaf on her apron? The grandiose capital S symbolism, like, ooh, look, there's two paths Corey can choose from, or there's just one path from the top of the stairs to the bottom of the stairs. And the queer coding. Seriously, the queer coding. What the fuck is going on here? The audacity.
Alright, after shitting on your feelings for. God, how long is this video? Christ. Here's where I think people disparaging this trilogy have a point. The continuity between films is irritatingly inconsistent. The rules of the shape are spotty here. Another irritating inconsistency: how the townsfolk of Haddonfield understand the events surrounding Michael. So this varies wildly from character to character and from film to film. And I did see some comment in some Reddit thread likening this to how, in reality, public opinion can be fickle and inconsistent. And sure. These three films do explore how fear and misinformation spread like a virus, but the execution of the idea, it just kind of falls flat. It just kind of misses the target, and you wind up with the first film feeling like everyone forgot about Michael, the second film depicting the entire population of Haddonfield rallying together in a matter of, like, what is that, an hour? And they're all coming together under the shared idea that evil dies tonight. And then the third film lands with everyone just kind of confused as to what it was all about. I mean, you got characters like Willie the Kid and Sandra's sister who are blaming Laurie for everything. And you can make real world parallels to this, and they actually do kind of have a point, because Tommy and to a lesser extent Laurie were responsible for the confusion that led to the mob execution of Lance Tivoli. But Ends never expressly addresses this, and it kind of drives me crazy because it's such an obvious thing for these people to point out. This whole fucking town killed a guy with mental illness on a oops because two people kind of thought that maybe could have been seeing Michael Myers across a crowded room. Holy fuck. So the Haddonfield thing comes off as something that the team was interested in exploring, but they couldn't give it the necessary focus to make it a solid statement on that theme. And that just really fucking sucks. Yeah, it's a missed opportunity. Again, I see the faults in this trilogy and its finale, and I see the legitimate reasons people might not like it, but most of what I'm seeing is a lot of bad faith criticism that boils down to, why did the story go this way and not that way? Which, what? 'Cause that's how it went. There's a saying that goes, evaluate the story you got, not the one you expected. And to anyone saying shit like this, I implore you to adopt that mantra. You'll find that you get way more joy out of life. Why didn't Sandra or the Johns just leave their homes and call the cops?
Because.
Why didn't Michael kill Corey the second he saw him?
Because.
Wait, did Michael ride on the back of Corey's bike?
No. Don't think about that. It's not important. How characters get around in a story is not important unless the film feels like it needs to show you that.
By now, everyone and their mother has mentioned this phenomena, so obviously it was an intentional gag. Either one they wrote in or they discovered it in the editing process. Anyway, I think Michael's just following behind Corey.
I don't know, maybe he's walking through tunnels or skulking around alleys or teleporting. I don't know. Just don't think about that. It's not important.
How could they let that piece of shit Corey body our strong and good boy Michael and take his mask?
Because.
It can happen because it happened in this movie. That's the movie. I'm sorry to tell you this, but the movie is built around Corey's narrative. And if he died 45 minutes in, well, then the movie'd be awfully short, wouldn't it? And if he didn't assume the shape by the end, then his arc wouldn't feel like it reached a satisfying peak. So you're upset that the story didn't go the way you wanted. Well, it's not your story, it's theirs, and you didn't write it. Well, I mean, if I'm just flapping my gums here, why don't I try to make it as good as I can? So, stop throwing rocks from the sidelines and just get in there and, try to do something positive. It's my John Carpenter impression. If you think you have a better idea, by all means, sit down, write up a spec script, and mail it to Blumhouse. And if they think it's actually good, maybe they'll make it. Which, yay, go you. But to join an actual petition to demand that the creative team denounce their vision and go back to work just to please you is insulting to them and embarrassing for you. Like, what do you think this is? A class action lawsuit? You are not entitled to compensation. You are not a producer. You are the consumer. They don't owe you anything except a movie. We're all better off letting filmmakers make things that they want to make, something that they're passionate about creating, instead of dispassionately phoning it in and taking a shot in the dark on what the fans think they want to see. All of this time. Toxic fandom. All of this internet discourse, it's exactly what Scream 5 parodied at the beginning of this year. You sound like this guy. Don't be this guy. Did you not get that? What we're witnessing here is the horror community's version of the great Star Wars discourse from a few years ago. And you know what? Discourse away. At least we have something this substantial to talk about for once. Despite what I said earlier about going into the theater to see Halloween Ends with no agenda, I mean, yes, of course, I did have questions and theories that were stirring in the back of my mind. But what I feared most was that things would go the way that I thought they would, that those questions would get answered, those theories would work out as I had expected, or that they'd repeat any of the same old, same old. It's tough to appease a fandom these days. In an IP-driven era where playing it safe and pleasing the crowd wins favors, I respect this film, and I'm impressed with how delightfully unexpected and unique this specific tale of the shape played out. To those of you that hated it, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that you didn't have a good time. But good news. There's 13 of these goddamn movies. Let's go watch your favorite one. Happy Halloween, boo. All right. Thank you all for watching this debut video for this new channel. Wow, 2022 has just been a truly bonkers year for horror. Surely the best time to start building a brand of a horror-focused YouTube channel and to post my first video in November. Buy high, as they say. I'd like to thank this video sponsor, which is no one. And if you want more content, you can follow me nowhere. If you disagreed with anything I said, please scroll down to the comment box and just start screaming. Just start screaming into the void. That's what we're all doing here. We're just screaming into the void. But if you do on this video in the comments, it'll help me get noticed by the algorithm. I don't know, like and subscribe, I guess. I don't know. I've got ideas for other videos, but I don't know how married I am to this channel. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, yeah, hit that bell notification icon, and I promise that it will go off very rarely. Thanks again, y'all. Stay spooky.